Hey guys, this is Mr. V over here doing a book review today for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Before I get into my book review, I want you to know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review, so if you see me looking down, I just have some notes, so I try not to give any spoilers away. So, let's get into the book review for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Now, the main premise for this book is about a girl named Alice. She sees a rabbit one day, and she follows it and falls down the rabbit hole, and then you follow her crazy adventures. So that's the main premise for the book. This basically was a novella which was released in 1865. And there's a lot of debate online about if this was meant to be an adult book or meant to be a children's book. A lot of people have geared it towards children now, but some people say that it was actually meant to be an adult book. And, there's debate online. But I want you to know that when I read this book, I read the text version that had no pictures or anything like that. And I have not seen the movie, so I cannot relate it to the movie at all. So I just want you to know that I'm reading it as like an adult book, like the text version of it. But let's get into the book for Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. Now, you should know that this book basically just starts immediately, in that the author doesn't describe much. You don't even know who Alice is. It just says the name Alice, and she spots the rabbit, and she just starts going down the rabbit hole, and that's how it starts. It just starts immediately. And then you just follow her different adventures. And it's basically like the description says. You follow her different adventures, you meet different characters, and you go through a lot of weird situations in this book. I mean, even though it's only a novella, he throws in a lot of weird situations. So be prepared for weirdness. Now, I enjoyed the weirdness, but just be prepared for weirdness if you're going to read this book. Because I said she goes through a lot of interesting situations. One example is that at one point she'll eat something and then she'll like grow to a humongous size of a tree, or sometimes she'll eat something else and then she'll shrink down to the size of a mouse, or things like that. And that's why I said it can be a little bit weird, and it's fun. It still is fun, because even though it's weird, it's fun because you do meet a lot of memorable characters. One memorable character, for example, will be like when she shrinks down, she meets a caterpillar who's smoking a hookah. And that's why I said it's kind of weird in those regards. But it definitely will keep your interest throughout the book, because she goes through many different fun situations for it being such a short book. Now, some of the things I would say that aren't bad, but I'd say just be prepared for in this book, is that there's absolutely no background. You just meet the girl named Alice, and the story just follows her adventures immediately. You know nothing about her. I was fine with it, but I know it can be odd because you know nothing about the main character going into it. You just know that she sees a rabbit, she follows it, and falls down the rabbit hole. So you know nothing about the main character, and then you just learn a little bit throughout the book. So just be prepared for that. Another thing you want to know is that the story jumps around a lot. It does definitely jump around a lot, because she'll go through one weird situation and then move on to a different area in the land that she's in. And in the rabbit hole, she moves to a different area, and then something else happens. But it's like it just jumps around a lot. It just moves to a brand new area, and then she does something in that area, and then just moves to a different area. And just again, be prepared that it does jump around a lot, and there's not much links between where she's going. She just goes to that area, and that's what happens. And then, as I said, there's a lot of weird scenes in it. I was fine with it, but just, these are things that you want to be prepared for if you're going to read the book. Now, as for his writing style, As for the writing style, I thought this was a well-written book. It was just easy reading, because you can envision the scenes in just a few words. As I said, I read the text version, so I didn't see any pictures, but you can envision the scenes just very quickly within just a few words. And he describes the characters very well, so that you can kind of have this imagination, because, as I say, you run into some memorable characters, but they are definitely some weird characters. But you can envision it, because the author does a great job with that. And I would say that the writing is also good because it keeps you engaged. And you want to keep reading. And it's a short book, but you just want to keep reading. But, overall, it was a short read. It was a very fun read. Very interesting read, especially considering it's one of the classics. It was released about 150 years ago, so it's definitely a fun read. But let me give it my official rating right now. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10, with a 0 being an awful book. A 5 is an average book, and a 10 is a phenomenal book. Or if it gets anywhere near 10, you should put that on your reading list because I'm a very tough critic. And so start to move even 1 point, and a 5 is average. So for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, this one kind of had me going back and forth, but I'm going to give this book a 5, which is an average book. I almost gave it above average, but I decided just to put it about average, just because, you know, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, you go through a lot of interesting situations, and there's nothing really bad happens, but it's not the kind of book that I would rush out to get either. And that's why I said I was going, maybe it's a slightly above average book, but, you know, again, there's nothing bad, but you don't have to rush out to get it. But I would still, at some point maybe in life, you may want to read the book. But if you guys have any comments or questions, you know, please post it in the comments section below. Hope you guys click the subscribe button as I upload multiple different types of book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.